Hi, it's Stuart. I just wanted to finish off this second module with just a few more comments and issues about the 6 inches in between our ears, the psychology of trading. You know, I think it's interesting when you first start trading and first, have an interest in markets and making money from the markets. If someone was to tell you right at the beginning that the most important part of your success is going to be your mindset, you would dismiss it as a joke. You would really say you cannot be serious. Because I think, well, certainly in my case, when I started trading, I thought trading would be easy. I think it would be easy money. I mean, really, how difficult can buying and selling be? We then realised at some stage that trading might be the hardest easy money there is, and at somewhere along the journey we look back and think, wow, maybe the mindset, maybe the psychology is in fact the most critical part of our success. So it's quite interesting that when we first start trading, that's probably the furthest thing from our mind. But if I just bring you to where I started, when I started this interest in the market, and of course I was very much focused on making money, and I started out with a few trades, and of course I lost on every single one of them, and I started to lose money, and I really started to get confused about, what am I doing wrong here? Is it me? Is it someone else? Is it the market? And I got very frustrated because I thought, really, how hard can this be? So of course after a few losing trades and losing some money, being so focused on making money, I stopped, simply thinking something's not right here. So then, in a month or so after that, I guess I generated some interest again. I got motivated again. I really wanted to have another go at it. So I started trading again, had a few trades, put some on, again lost further money, and got even more frustrated that, what's going wrong here? Is it me? Is it something I'm doing? What's happening here where I'm consistently losing money? And I guess my key point I wanted to make is, where do we get our perseverance from? Where do we have the persistence? Where do we get that persistence from? Because it's clear that, and you may be experiencing this right now. It's clear that we come up against many obstacles along the journey, along the path to achieving that consistent performance. So, we all reach these obstacles, and we can picture them as literally 6-foot-high concrete walls. And we come up the first one, and what do we do at that concrete wall? Do we attack it with vigour and with energy, and we literally launch ourselves above the wall and keep going along the path? Because it's obvious that a lot of people at that stage will say, no, too difficult, not for me. They'll turn around and walk backwards. But of course we know the consistent performance is at the end of the path somewhere. But of course, once we clear that first 6-foot wall, there's going to be another one. We don't know where it is or when it will be, but there is another one. We know it's a given. So where do we get our perseverance from? Where do we get our persistence? How clear and how decisive are our goals? And I guess it comes down to, how badly do you want them? How badly do you want to achieve this goal of consistent performance where all our trading goals are met? And I think one of the key ingredients, and one thing we really don't consider very often, is that perseverance. Okay, that perseverance to keep going regardless of what obstacles we face. So, there's time-tested principles and quotes that many key leaders and people in the history of the world have said about this. How to succeed, try hard enough is one that I like, and never, never, never give up, Winston Churchill, or words to that effect. So, all those point towards that persistence, that perseverance to just keep going and working. Don't swerve, don't move away. Just keep working towards your goals. Another thing I wanted to talk about was discipline. If I was pinned down to give, to me, the number one key attribute of successful traders, I would say discipline. Discipline is that self-control. It's that control that we have over ourselves in everything that we do. And I really do think it's just the key attribute of successful traders. And I think you could take that a step further to say all those other attributes, so far as being, focused or motivated or patience, I think all of those all come back to discipline. It comes back to that self-control. Can you be patient if you don't have some level of self-control? Where do you get your motivation from? To me, again, it can come back a little bit to that self-control. It's that discipline. That's why I just think it's the key attribute that successful traders have. And I often talk about in trading that when we are faced with a decision that that needs to be made, and of course remember, trading is all about making decisions, we're often faced with two options, and they're often very, very different. The first option is what our trading plan says we should be doing, and the second option is what is going to make us feel most comfortable. It's what we feel like doing. And so often it's so easy to go along the path of the easy option. It's the easy option of just making that decision that will make us feel most comfortable. And often what we do is, even though we have our long-term goals in mind, and that's consistent performance and making money and protecting capital and all that, we often sacrifice those to avoid short-term discomfort or for short-term pleasures. And when we're in a losing trade, not cutting that loss, not cutting that trade, we sacrifice the long-term goal of making money to avoid short-term discomfort. The discomfort is taking the loss and actually losing money. We avoid that, and in doing so sacrifice our long-term goals, and we maintain, we keep the trade open. Also, when we have a profitable trade, we see the money there, we seek short-term pleasure by taking that, realising the profit, but again, we're sacrificing our longer-term goals by doing that. To me, the only way we do what our plan says we should do, even though it's complete opposite of what we feel like doing and will make us feel most comfortable, is discipline. Discipline to me is the bridge. It bridges that gap between those two options that we have. And I'm always reminded of the quote from General Schwarzkopf, Stormer Norman, the commander of the Allied forces in the First Gulf War, who said, "The truth of the matter is, you always know the right thing to do. The hard part is doing it." I'll say that again. The truth of the matter is you always know the right thing to do. The hard part is doing it. So in trading, truth of the matter is we always know the right thing to do, because the principles that work, the rules that work, are time tested. There are no secrets to those rules. Everyone knows them. So we always know the right thing to do. The difficult part, the hard part for us, is doing it. And to me, there's only one ingredient that will help us do that, and that's the discipline. It's the self-control to almost ignore what we feel like doing and move towards what our trading plan says we should be doing. Which leads me on to control. Many would argue that you really have no control whatsoever in the markets, and I do tend to agree with that to an extent, in that you have no control over what the price will do. If you enter a trade, it's really up to the market, the consensus of all the participants to see where the price moves. But I do believe there are points in time where we do actually have a fair amount of control. We're probably not aware of that, and we certainly don't use that to our advantage. So I'd like to talk about that for a little bit. I believe when your money is safe, it's in the account, in the bank, with the broker or whatever, when it's safe and you're not in the trade, you have maximum control to not take trades in the first place. And I believe you need to exercise that control. Because, it's that whole idea of, to me, your trading plan is designed to keep you out of the market. Not get you in, keep you out. It's the intuitive thing to think that your plan is designed to get you into trades. I think the opposite. I think your trading plan is designed to keep you out of trades. Therefore, when our money is in the account, it's safe, it's not exposed to risk, it's not in the trade in the first place, you have maximum control to keep it there and to keep it safe and to keep it exposed to, high risk trades. What that means is when a potential trading opportunity makes it through all your criterion, it is done so for a very good reason. And it's then to say the plan is actually allowing you, it's giving you the green light, the thumbs up, to actually take the trade in the first place. So before you take the trade, you really do have maximum control to not take the trade. And I think you need to use that to your advantage. When conditions aren't right, don't force the action, don't trade for the sake of trading. Only trade when your plan actually says, go for it. Okay, I've got no reason to stop you not taking this trade. So use that to your advantage. I also think that when you are in the trade, whilst of course you cannot control what the price does, you can certainly control to an extent when you have a losing trade. And I challenge anyone to come up with a more important trading rule than cutting your losing trades. So when you enter a trade and it moves against you, you actually normally, generally speaking, have a fair amount of opportunity to say, hang on a second, this has moved down far enough, it's hit my stop loss level, I'm out. You actually do have because we've actually set a target, so to speak, on the downside, we've set a target. If the price moves down to that, we can say stop and exercise our control, take the closing trade, exit the trade and cut the loss and move on. So we do have a fair amount of control in that sense. Probably to a lesser extent is when we're in a profitable trade, because we're not quite setting a target, but we're a little bit more open-ended with our letting our profits run. We probably have less control there, But certainly with the cutting the losses, which again, I don't think there's a more important trading rule, and bearing in mind that we do actually have a fair amount of control in that situation, again, I think we need to use that to our advantage. So in an environment where many people would say you have no control whatsoever over the markets, I think there's really two key areas where we do have a fair amount of control, and because we do, I think we need to use that to our advantage. Those two areas are before we enter the trade in the first place, and that is saying, no, I'm not taking the trade. And the other one is when you are in a trade, it moves against you, down to your stop, exercise control, get out of the trade and move on to the next trade. The next thing I want to talk about is confidence. Clearly confidence is important in anything we do in life, and certainly trading is no exception. But where do we get confidence from? You can go to all the trading expos, all the bookstores, and you won't see a box of confidence for sale. So where do we get this confidence from? I think primarily confidence comes from one thing, and that's competence. Competence yields confidence. And if you think of anything now that you're very good at, you'll assess your level of competence in that particular skill or activity, and you'll agree that you are quite confident performing that activity. Likewise, think about something you're not very good at, and equally think about how confident you are, and you'll find that you won't be very confident at all. So to me, confidence comes from confidence. So you need to develop the competence. The fact that you're part of this group now, leads me to think that you are certainly committed to doing that. Reading books because they offer great value for money. Develop that confidence, and of course, the other way to do that is to trade for real, put your money on the line, risk your money, learn from the mistakes you make, and that helps, of course, develop your competence. Confidence will naturally flow from that competence. I'm also reminded of a couple of my favourite quotes. One is, think you can or think you can't, either way you're right. And the most influential book that I've ever read is No Surprise Market Wizards by Jack Schwager. And I think a lot of those people, from memory, said, right from the beginning, I knew I was going to be successful. They weren't, of course. They were, consistent performers in that they lost money, but they always knew they were going to be successful. So I guess they always had that inner confidence that the concepts, the path that we had to travel was well laid out, well established, because so many people had come before us. We just needed to ensure that, from deep down within, from here and up here, we needed to make sure that we stayed on that path. So they all knew right from the beginning, they had that inner confidence that they were going to make a success of this. And I hope you feel the same way, that even right now, that you are going to make this successful and make it a success and achieve those dreams that you set yourself. Another quote I like along these lines is, there are three types of people in this world: those who make things happen, those who watch what happened, and those who wonder what happened. Right? And I think we always aim to be in that first group, those people who make things happen. And in trading, we need to make things happen. We need to develop the competence, therefore develop the confidence, develop the discipline, and it will all happen for us. Finally, I just wanted to talk about the counterintuitive nature of trading. I think in a few things, like so many things in life, the path to success is not obvious to us. And I think trading is definitely that case, because when we start, certainly in my case, I thought trading was easy. The path, I thought, there it is, this is all I have to do. How hard, how difficult can buying and selling really be? But the path that I was taking was the over here, and of course I had to take this path back here. So the path to success is not obvious. And the other thing to appreciate is so many of the decisions that we need to make are counterintuitive. And I think we've discussed that a fair bit so far as taking the losing trade is the counterintuitive. The intuitive thing to do is hold on and hope that trade returns to break even, so we keep our money. It's intuitive to think that our decision to enter the trade being the first is the most important. It's counterintuitive to think that perhaps when we get out of the trade is the most important. It's intuitive to think that our trading plan is designed to get us into the market. It's counterintuitive to think that, no, it's actually protecting us from the market and it's telling us when to stay out. So there's so many things where, we really need to do the counterintuitive thing. And of course, if we're not aware of that, we're going to do the things that are intuitive to us, based on our intuition, our instincts. They're going to lead us to consistently poor trading decisions. We need to consistently do the counterintuitive thing. And again, coming back to a previous point, to me it's the discipline which is the bridge, which moves us away from the intuitive decision, the intuitive action, to the counterintuitive. Okay, what I'd like to do is get some feedback from you on this module, this whole psychology thing, and I think of all the comments that we should get, this really should generate the most, because it really is a bit of a summary for all the things that we need to do so far as the psychology is concerned. So I've got a few things that I'd like you to perhaps address, and of course please post your comments. Let's generate a lot of discussion and help each other out. The first thing is discipline. How are you going to develop the discipline and maintain that discipline? What steps are you going to take to develop a certain level of discipline that you need, and then to maintain that discipline throughout our trading life? When we face obstacles, how are you going to keep your eyes on the prize? How are you going to maintain that level of persistence or perseverance, keep working towards your goals of consistent performance with your trading? So how are you going to keep your eyes on the prize? And finally, and a little bit related to the discipline, is how are you going to consistently do the counterintuitive? All right? How are you going to consistently move away from your intuitive thoughts and your intuitive actions to the counterintuitive, because it's the counterintuitive which will have us achieving our trading goals, and that is consistent performance and consistent trading success. So that generally wraps up the psychology, the mindset component of the mastermind. I really want to see your comments based on those few questions, those action steps. You know, get out the notepad, get out the Word document, start typing away comments on your discipline, counterintuitive, and how to maintain that level of persistence and perseverance to achieving your trading goals.